Hello, Internet. Thank you once again for joining me to talk all things vertical drama. And I have found someone else to talk to, which is always very exciting. And it is the wonderful, beautiful actress Chelsea Gray. So, Chelsea, can you do a little introduction of yourself to the Internet? So, what would you say to someone if you met the first time? How would you introduce yourself?
Um, oh gosh. Hi, my name is Chelsea Gray. I've been acting for over 10 years. I'm based in LA, and about a year ago, I discovered vertical dramas and kind of hit the ground running, and I've done, I think, 10, which isn't a lot. Actually, compared to a lot of other people. But it's become, a huge part of my career, and yeah, really excited about where it's going. So, yeah.
Okay, so the first question I want to ask you is, did you grow up in LA or did you do the big decision at some point and go, I need to go to LA for my acting career?
Well, I'm from California, so I've always been kind of close. I'm originally from Temecula, which is like 2 hours south from here. Wine country, suburban. It was a small town, and now it's kind of becoming bigger. Like when I mentioned Temecula, people actually know about it, which is so weird. But yeah, I decided when I was 21, so 7, 8 years ago, that I was going to move after doing, I did background on Grease Live, which was like, a live musical event. And I think it was on Fox. I can't remember, but I was on the Warner Brothers lot for like 5 days in a row doing this project. And I was like, yep, this is it. I'm making the move. So found roommates that I'd never met before on Facebook. And without even seeing any pictures of the apartment, I signed and moved like 2 weeks later. And I've been here ever since.
Right. I have to ask you about Grease Live because I remember when that came out. Okay. And that was a really big deal, particularly as I think star Vanessa Hudgens, she'd lost her dad, hadn't she? Like
Yeah,
the day
the day of the
before.
show. Or it was
He w-
I think it was like the night before the show. Yeah.
And then, like, everyone was like, totally understand if you don't want to do it. And she did the whole thing and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and, like, she deserved some awards for that, honestly. I think it was, like, her best performance, and she was so professional, and I've always been a fan of her because I used to get compared to her a lot when I was younger. I still do now, but, like, especially long ago, people always say, "Oh, you look like Vanessa Hudgens, you should kind of, like, do what she's doing," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So I've always been a fan of hers, but, yeah, seeing her do it live and just, like, what she was going through is yeah, I was, like, a masterclass. It was incredible to watch, and I feel, like, so lucky that I was there because, being background is it's a fun experience working background on any set, but especially this kind of project that was, like, a live musical event. You really felt like you were a part of the ensemble because we weren't just placed, we had to be there all week. We got blocking, we got direction, we got costume, hair, everything. So it really felt like we were truly a part of the production. So it was super fun.
Have to ask, what was your favourite costume? Because I'm thinking 1950s, there could have been some good stuff there.
Yeah, I just had like the cutest little like schoolgirl outfit. It was like a plaid kind of poodle skirt looking thing and like a cute little cardigan. And I had like a ponytail with my hair curled and these glasses. It was just, yeah, it was so cute and fun. And it was like the best experience. And I still have like screen grabs of me like being in the background of Jordan Fisher singing. And I'm like, ah, that's me. And people were like freaking out. So yeah.
They should freak out. That's like phenomenal. That's like such an amazing thing to be part of. So I
Wow,
have to ask, were you then also a singer and dancer as well as actor? Did you enjoy, is that part of what you love to do as well?
yes, I started in dance, because I always wanted to be an actor, but my mom was kinda like, "I don't know anything about that, and also, like, I don't really want you to be a child actor for obvious reasons," and I can respect that, so she put me in dance, and, so I danced competitively for 12 years, and then in high school, I saw that my, drama department was looking for dancers to be a part of their, musicals. And so I was like, "Oh, I've always wanted to, act, like, maybe I'll try this out." So I got cast, and I actually got cast in, Legally Blonde, the musical, as Serena, which is like a supporting role. So I actually got to sing and act, and I was like, wait, I'm not just a dancer in this? Like it was addicting after that. Like I had the best time and it was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Originally, I wanted to move to New York and do the whole Broadway thing, but I was a little too scared. I was like, I don't know if I can make the move to New York by myself, so I settled for LA, but I'm glad I did.
It's still pretty phenomenal, the move you made. I mean, as you said, just booking something that you've not met any housemates and doing it.
Mhm.
I have to ask, competitive dance, what was Chelsea Gray known for? What was it like? This is the
I
dance, but she's the one to beat.
Yeah, I was the tilter. So like that move where like your legs all the way up here. You're like every time we were in any sort of I was very flexible as a child and it just kind of like I don't know stayed. But that was like my signature move. Anytime I was in a group dance or a solo, my teachers were like, we got to put that tilt in there. So that was my thing, and I feel like I could still do it. I randomly whip it out to make sure it's still there. But I definitely need to dance more. I miss it, but yeah, that was my thing.
We'll come back to dance, don't you worry.
I
Um,
know.
so when you come to LA then, um, what jobs were available to start with? Kind of what were
Yeah, so
you
it
finding there
w
was to apply for?
yeah, it was not like how it is now where a lot of people are, moving to LA and being able to make a living off of verticals. Like that was not a thing when I moved here. And I essentially had no idea what I was doing as far as like how do I find an agent? How do I get cast? Like I had no clue. I had been the victim of so many scams. But my first job that I got was working retail at Athleta, which is like, this brand kind of like Lululemon. And I realized after 1 month of working there, because it was only part-time, I was like, "Oh, this is not enough money, like, I'm actually kinda screwed." And so, I got a second job, I worked as a host at a restaurant, and, I did that for a little while, and then I think after like a year, I actually met my now wife. We were next door neighbors and we became friends first and, whatever. But I met her like pretty much right when I moved to LA, which is so funny. But she was working at a veterinary clinic as a tech, as like a vet nurse. And she's like, hey, would you want to be like a receptionist? And it was full time hours, which is what I needed. But it was also like early hours because I was also in school. So I started working there and I was a receptionist for a couple years and I went on to work at an emergency vet clinic as a doctor's assistant. So I was like very much in the medical world um, until I graduated and got like a social media marketing job to kind of sustain me. But yeah, that's all that I did. And then I did like random little short films here and there that paid next to nothing, but you know, that's how I made it happen at the time.
I just say working in a vet's clinic, like that is pretty full on because you're dealing with a lot of emotion.
It was
Because
really tough
people
for me. Yeah.
obviously love, love, love their pets. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Yeah. It was, I mean, I've always been like a really emotional person. So like working at that job was a blessing and a curse because I feel like people did trust me a lot. And I feel like they could actually tell that I felt for them because a lot of the times people don't like the vet because they're like, oh, they just want my money. Like that was what everybody says. And I feel like I was able to connect with people and understand where they're coming from. And I never took anything personally or, if they were upset because it's like these are people's pets, these are their loved ones. So I think I was able to help a lot of people through that, experience. But going from like general practice to emergency was like a whole other beast and it was incredibly difficult. Yeah, I would cry pretty much like every day, because you can't save them all. Sometimes there are helpless situations. Sometimes there are people that just don't want to take your advice no matter how hard you try. And so I still wonder about certain cases, like I'm like, I wonder if that dog is okay, So it was tough, but I loved doing it, and me and my wife, I mean, I'm sure you can see I have a litter box back there, there's a dog back there. I have 3 dogs and 3 cats because of it.
that
Because
was going to be my follow-up question of like, I'm assuming there are pets in that household, given that you.
really, yes, people would always come to us and be like, "Oh, I can't take care of this animal," or like, "My friend's dog is the and can you help?" And we're like, "Yeah, bring him on over," So I get kinda happen that way, but I love all of them, and We also did foster at one point. So if we had more room, I'd foster all the time. But yeah, I love animals. So it was really, and I used to want to be a vet. That was like my first dream job, was like to be a veterinarian. But yeah, now I think I'll just play one.
Which actually, yeah, we haven't. Yeah, we will come to that as well. So, okay, so as you mentioned, it's quite hard when you make that move to LA, sort of before Vertical's around. There
Yeah.
really aren't a huge amount of jobs, and as you've kind of explained, which I think is useful for people who aren't in America, LA is, from what I understand, an expensive place to live.
Oh, yeah, very much.
So, when you said it was about a year ago with Verticals, so what was the kind of first thing that cropped up for you and made you think, I'm going to apply for that? And again, the follow-up question is, did you think it was a scam? Because a lot of people say that their first one is like, is this another scam?
Yeah. I mean, when I discovered them, well, I guess I had known about them for a while. Like, I know a lot of people that were in at the very beginning. That was their thought. They're like, "What the heck is this? Like, is this even real?" But I was hesitant for, I would say, about 6 months. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, just because of the time consuming, and the pay wasn't that great at the time. And then there was also, I think the stigma is going away, but there was the stigma of like, oh, don't do it, it'll ruin your career. And so I resisted. And then after a while, I was like, I just want to be on set. Like, I haven't filmed anything in such a long time. And I think it'll just like kind of help oil the wheels a little bit. So I was applying myself. I did have an agent and a manager, but they, were kind of like not really submitting me for stuff, because if it's lower paying, they're not really going to. So I was doing it myself. And then I think I auditioned for like 50 before I got one, which is like, people always say like, oh, maybe I'll just do a vertical. And I'm like, okay, try, because it's not easy to get cast. Like, you can't just decide to do it and do it. You have to actually audition and go through the callback and get it, just like any other role. So I finally got cast in a supporting role as the villain, like not the main villain, like her little sidekick. And
The little minion.
yeah, she was the little minion, and I was only on set for, I think, like 3 days for that one. But yeah, it was a whirlwind. Like, I was just like, "What is this? Like, this is crazy," because, sometimes you get on these sets and everything's really professional and running on time and everyone's great, and then sometimes it's like a total crazy towns. And that's what this one was. It was like everyone was always overtime. No one knew their lines. Like, it was kind of like, it was insane. But I still had such a fun time. And I was like, yeah, this is like scratching that itch of like, I want to create something. I want to be on set. And so I decided to kind of go full force. And then from there, I think I did like 1 or 2 every month for like 6 months, until I stopped, because, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but I got, in the villain jail, which is what we talk about a lot. And I was trying to branch out of that, and it was just not really happening. So I did have to take like a step back, because I was like, I'm kind of killing myself over this, and it really has nothing to do with me and my talent. So let me just take a breather. But, other than that, I feel like I was really able to make connections. I learn lines so quickly now. Being on set and doing stunts and all this stuff, like, it was so much fun. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got involved in it. But we can definitely backtrack.
We will definitely. No, this is awesome. Okay, so yeah, my first question is to explain to people who don't really understand,
Mhm.
what is villain jail?
Yeah, so villain jail is when you accept the role as a villain in one of these verticals, because the characters are outlined very specifically. Like, the first 2 people on the call sheet are the leads. Number 3 is the villain, the main villain, and she's like, usually, well, I guess it could be a guy too, but they're like totally evil and just, deplorable people. But once they see you as that, as the villain, it's very hard to break out of that mold, because, at the end of the day, these apps are money people. They're tech people. They're not creatives. And so if it's not spelled out for them right in front of their faces, they're not going to see it. They're like, oh, but you're a villain. That's it. You've done it. There you go. And so it's very hard to break out of that once you're seen as a villain. And especially, speaking just from my own experience, I've been told it's because of your darker features. Um, you'll never be seen as a lead because you have these dark eyes and dark eyebrows and dark skin and dark hair, and you have very sharp features. And I was just like, wow, like that's where we're at right now, like where we're really going racial, but okay.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I've kind of accepted that for what it is. Although there are people that have broken out of that, and I love that for them. But I've found it difficult, just me personally. So yeah,
No, I
that's
think
me,
you're
Jill.
quite right too. If it's all right, I just really want to kind of explain to people who don't know. So when you say they, is that I suspect it's a mix of casting directors and then what we would know as a client. So basically,
Yeah.
whoever is commissioning this, paying for it, there's often they have a strong influence. Is that correct when you say
Yeah.
they?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the first person that I speak to is the casting director, and I do have some in my corner that are like, I've really tried and it's just not working. But then I've also had some straight up tell me like, no, like I don't see you as that, and I'm like, okay. So really, it's like breaking through that first barrier of like, they only see me as that, as in the casting director. They won't even put me up to the producers. But I have gotten to that point where I am at the very end of the session, or it's between me and one other girl or whatever. And usually, yeah, it's then the client that is like, we just need someone who looks more innocent. So there's that.
So I want to put this on the internet. Okay. So as a viewer,
Hmm.
it is much more interesting to watch people who play all sorts of characters. So both
Yeah.
heroine, villain, if we're making it that simple. Because when you turn up on screen, I don't know which way you're going to go.
Right. Right.
That's so much more interesting as a viewer. It's
Yeah.
really tedious when you're like, wait, it's like, okay, I know this person will bring it and they'll be a great villain, but I kind of know there's not really going to be any redemption here. They're here just to cause chaos. And, it has its charm, but
Sure. Yeah. And
just
that
as
is.
a viewer, it's more interesting for us. So can you please let everyone out of villain jail and just stop doing it?
Just let them try. I mean, come on. No, I know. I agree. And I think also, part of the frustration comes from like maybe if the villains were a little bit more multifaceted and there was more of a journey and we understood their like motivation, then that's something I can get behind, because who doesn't love a good like, anti-hero or somebody who's flawed? I personally love watching that. But when I'm just spewing abusive language towards somebody and they're like, it's because you want the guy, I'm like, really? Like, can we do a little better than that? So yeah, I mean, I was working on My Miracle Luna for Drama Box, and that was probably the most fun villain that I've done, because I was able to give her like a reason behind her evilness, and it was because she had her mother that was pressuring her to take the guy and get the other girl out of the picture, and she wanted to impress her mother, live up to her mother's expectations. Like, that was a gift, because it gives me some sort of motivation to just play off of. Like, at the end of the day, we're artists. Like, even if this is, you know soapy and whatever, it's still, we still want to like have that internal struggle. Otherwise we're going to like, get bored and not want to do it, and the audiences will get bored too. So yeah.
Because I found it really interesting that, yeah, you said, because I do prep everyone. I do prep for these interviews, and I was looking at your Instagram, and I could see it's always interesting what shows people post about on their grid. So it's like, okay, either they've really had a great time on set and just the whole team's bonded, or it's a character they've particularly enjoyed. And obviously, you posted about that and said there was more for me to get into here. And then I can see that when I then watch the show. Um, but the other thing as well is, yeah, it's really beginning to bug me now as well that when the villain, the only thing is they're mean for the sake of it or because they want a guy, because it kind of reduces a woman to the only emotion they have is, I want a
Mm.
man. There's
Yeah.
nothing else going on there, which is so frustrating. And I've realised the villainesses that I remember have more going on, like maybe, they've been thwarted in a career or there's some sort of family stuff going on. You're like, well, look at the parents. It's not surprising she's a disaster. So yeah, it was just, again, I guess it's a plea to the writers that it's more interesting for a viewer and obviously more fulfilling for you as a creative to
Yeah.
have a little bit more going on with the villains.
Yeah, and it's like, give the audience a little bit of credit. I think that they can, you know, read between the lines and understand multifaceted relationships and complex dynamics. I mean, we've been like we consume media all the time. We don't need it spelled out to us. So I think, yeah, if there's but then it's funny because like some things are so spelled out, like very obviously, but then other times they just completely abandon things and you're confused anyway. So it's like pick what you're going to actually like expand on.
So you've done quite a few werewolf verticals, which for
Yeah.
the uninitiated are quite a specific type of story. And so if you only encounter werewolves before is something like American Werewolf and London or T-Wolf, you're gonna have a bit of a shock because it's
Yeah.
kind of a different werewolf lore that we're in. How do you find them, and kind of what do you enjoy about them? What do you dislike about them? What's sort of the pros and cons?
Yeah, so before I did one, I kept telling everybody on set that I worked with, I was like, "Why haven't I done a werewolf one?" Like everybody would kind of be like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing a wolf one." And I'm like, "Okay, but I want to do it." And I just like would not get cast in any of them. Like I think I auditioned for like 30. Like I auditioned for so many before I finally got one. And I was so excited because, I love fantasy. And I love thriller, I love action, Twilight, all that stuff. Vampire Diaries, my jam. So I think what makes them fun, especially in the vertical space, is that it's an opportunity to really lean into the campiness of it all and the soapiness of it all, and without it being like, I mean, it's always going to be a little cringe, right? But it's in my opinion warranted because it's so high fantasy, that you can just kind of like totally let go and release and lean in. And to me, that's super fun. And I think it also just allows for different storylines to come about, because it's in the werewolf world. So yeah, for me, I was just like, I want to be a werewolf. Like I want to like fight someone and, curse them and whatever. Like I want to do that. So I was so excited when I finally got it. But what's funny is that the first werewolf one I did, it was like chasing his rejected alpha wife. That one was barely a werewolf one. Like they kept saying that they were wolves, but it was like basically a CEO story. And so I was like, I kept joking, like I finally get a werewolf one. I don't even get to be a wolf. Like I didn't turn or fight or anything.
Yeah.
So I was all disappointed. But then like literally the next week I was on set for my Miracle Luna, which was like very fantasy gothic vibes. So I was like, okay, I feel satisfied now.
Yeah, that's so true. Because even within the werewolves, there's a whole gamut of, as you said, ones where it's
Yeah.
barely really part of the story, and ones where like you've got a lot of growling and howling at the moon,
Right.
um, which is love. My personal theory is I think some of the reason they're so popular is just the whole fated mate idea.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
that's
this,
actually because I was wondering too, like, why don't we go more into vampires and witches? And I think you're right. It's probably because the werewolf is like the bond and the mate thing. Like, it's like everyone loves that primal aspect of it, I guess, which is interesting. So, yeah,
I
I think
think
you're
also
right
it's
on
so hard trying to find like the person you love and are they the right person. And I think that's like that's probably something the human brain is constantly turning over. Am I with the right person? I'm going to find them. And I think there's something
that.
just handing it over of like, well, the Luna has decreed and this is who you're supposed to be with and it will be true love. I can see a
Mhm.
real appeal to that.
For sure, yeah, and it's like the certainty of, well, we're bonded and it's there and there's no doubt about it, So that is kind of nice. Like that would be interesting if that was something that we could actually do in real life.
And then the other thing that I guess has actually been quite interesting in the werewolf ones is I don't know if you've seen in any of the scripts, but they do seem to be leading the way a bit of now having, the female might be the alpha. Well,
Yes.
we have
Yes.
werewolf queens, and it seems to be we're getting there, I think, quicker than we're getting to female billionaires, shall we say.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a nice change, for the woman to be like the stronger of the two. In the one that I was in with Candace, she was, it was revealed that she was like the most powerful and she was the alpha and all this. And that was really great for her, for me to see like a female be the strong one because Jackson's character was like the most clueless husband I've ever seen. And like he was really not that powerful either. Like he just was kind of there, and she got to lead the way, which was, nice. And yeah, love her. She's amazing.
So, of the other verticals that you've done, so you said that you took a step back. Have you gone back in, or are you still on a bit of a hiatus?
Well, I'm kind of on a forced hiatus at the moment because so let me think. I think the last one I did was My Miracle Luna, and that was in like July or something like that. Um, and then with verticals, they move so fast that if you're not available even for one day, like you're kind of out of the running completely. And I had a couple of vacations planned, and like, God forbid I take a break, but yeah, that kind of like put me on like a month-long break without me even really wanting it. And it's crazy because you can have all these connections and be working these verticals for so long, but if you're not available, they kind of forget about you, honestly, unless you're like a big player in the space. So when I came back from my break, I was kind of starting from ground one in a lot of ways, because I wasn't getting those like direct offers. I wasn't getting casting reaching out to me. I was still auditioning. Um, and I was targeting lead roles. So I was auditioning for leads pretty much exclusively because I was like, okay, I want to get one under my belt. Like I really wanted it. And it just wasn't working out. I think I auditioned for like 2 months, just like leads nonstop, nonstop. Got really close, didn't get it, whatever. But then, literally 3 weeks ago, I booked my first TV gig, which is awesome. It was so much fun. I got to go to Utah and film. It's going to be a really like high profile show, so I'm like so excited about that. And I'm sure you know what's coming. Because of that, I had to join the union. So now I'm kind of a little bit out of the game. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, I have seen some like low budget SAG verticals come out, so we'll see. But yeah, now I'm kind of on a forced hiatus because there's nothing I can do about that. But yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do your brief explanation because we're working on the. I know because I've spoken to enough people now, but for
Yes.
anyone watching this who doesn't understand, the fact that you're in a TV show and are now in the union, why does that mean you're on a forced hiatus?
Yeah, so verticals are non-union, meaning like they're not a part of SAG, which is the union we have here. And when you are a part of SAG, you are not allowed to work on any non-union sets. You can get like banned from the union. I think production can get in trouble. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, and once you are, it's called a must join. So it's like once you've done enough union jobs while being non-union, there comes a point where the union is like, okay, like you have to join now because you've used us enough.
Yeah,
Like you need to give us our dues.
yeah.
That was my situation. They were like, yeah, if you don't join, you're not gonna do this job. And I was not in the position to turn that down, like at all. I've been working for this for 10 years. And production can get in trouble. So you'd better join. And I was like, okay. So that was what happened. And, you know, I am curious since I just joined, I don't know a lot, but it is on the list to talk to other actors that are union that are still kind of sneakily doing verticals, like how they feel about it, because I'm not like totally against it, but I also don't want to get in trouble. So it's a fine line, I think you have to walk.
And it's just really interesting that in a way there's not really decision to be made because
Yeah.
it's like, well, you're not going to turn down the TV role. But if you're
Yeah.
doing the TV role and you're told you have to do that, it's like, well, I'm going to tick the boxes to make sure that I can do the TV role, and all this kind of decision is made, and now this is where I am.
Yeah, and it's it kind of sucks because it's obviously a huge accomplishment to finally get that TV credit and to join the union, but in a way like I'm losing money because of it because like the work is going to slow down, for sure. It was a necessary investment, but it was definitely nerve-wracking because it's like, oh dang, like now I can only really count on those union jobs, which, for the viewers that don't really know, like LA has been extremely slow in that regard. Auditions are like kind of few and far between nowadays, and there's not a lot of stuff filming here. Most of everybody that I know, they're like, I went into verticals because there was nothing going on, and it was like something, it was a job, it was a consistent job, acting, writing, on all sides of it. So I hope things pick up in the other, world, but who knows?
Well, the thing is that your timing might be a little early, but quite good, because anyone who looks at the press will know that obviously bigger names are now paying attention to the vertical space, and
That
that
is true. Yeah.
things are
Yeah.
definitely happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it may well potentially can't talk, by next year, there will be options
I
that
hope
free
so.
up
Yeah.
anyone in your position to be like, okay, there are more union verticals that are an option for me to go and work on.
Yeah. And I think, I think there are a lot of vertical actors who are hesitant to join the union because they're like, this is my full-time job, So, it might work out for people like me who had no choice, and now these union verticals are coming up. So it's like, hey, I have the experience, so we'll see. I hope so. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Okay, so just going back to verticals, what would you say is the best bit about them of being on set? What's the most fun?
The stunts. I think the stunts is the best part of them from an actor's perspective, and being able to like quickly learn stunt choreography on the fly is like a very useful skill to have. Because a lot of the time you're not really ever doing stunts on low budget things like, short films or whatever. And if you're doing a bigger feature or a TV show, you have a stunt double. So to be able to do your own stunts and learn from stunt choreographers, that was something that I had so much fun doing. And I feel like it's going to be really useful in, other parts of my career because I feel comfortable with it now. And, the stunts are like insane because it's like, it's so, you're pushing people off balconies, you're slapping them a million times. Like, this is stuff that would not usually happen. So being able to like pull that off and make it look real for the screen was, yeah, just really fun and ridiculous. And we're all having the best time laughing the entire time and like just blowing our minds. But yeah, I think that's like probably the most fun. And also being able to memorize um pages and pages of dialogue. It's like it's a masterclass in acting. It's like working on soaps. If you've done a soap, you can do anything. So I feel like extremely prepared in that way as well.
And it's so interesting that you mentioned stunts, because I've spoken to a few stunt coordinators now, and they've said like the thing that gets them most excited is when they find someone like you who has a dance background, because they're like, yes. They said actually more than someone with martial arts or something. They're like, someone with dance, I know I am sorted, because they're going to be able to follow the choreography. So I want
Yeah,
to
because
ask
it is like a
personal,
dance. Mm-hmm.
yeah, 'cause personal favourite stunts. What's the favourite one or two that you've done you can share?
Well, there's a couple. Okay, so like the first one would be the entire production of what is now called Sisters Payback Time for Revenge or something like that. It was like, a twin revenge story. That one was so stunt heavy because it was like a thriller. So the people that wrote these scripts, this script specifically, like they were like channeling some sort of like Stephen King. I don't even know, because we were like putting needles under fingernails. Like it's insane. But but learning that and getting to work with like a fake hand and like the needle and beating somebody up and hiding a body, it was like so much that it was fun to execute. Like the storyline is like problematic for sure, but being able to learn how to like pull that off stunt wise was really fun. He like the stunt coordinator was literally there for every single scene because there was a stunt in every scene. So like that was really fun. And we got to fight. We got to do like 4 to 5 person like fight scenes because we're all just like punching, slapping each other in different, all in the same scene. So it was like chaotic. It was super fun. And then in My Miracle Luna, I got to do a fight scene with the lead Caitlin, and she and I had a lot of fun because it was like an actual like sparring scene. So like we got to, throw punches and tackle each other. And then at the end of it, she's supposed to be like choking me out and like almost, because we're werewolves, she's supposed to almost like pop my head out because she's so strong and, you know, whatever. And so I asked the director, I was like, you know, at that last take when she walks away, like, can I spit up blood or something? Like, I feel like that'd be really cool. And she's like, yeah, I don't know if they'll use it, but let's do it. And so I got to just like put a lot of fake blood in my mouth and just like spit it out at the end. And that was really fun. I felt cool.
I could so tell you're a fantasy girl because you're like, I
Yeah.
want to do the awesome stuff.
Like, how can I make this even more like crazy and like intense? Like, I don't know. I was really into it. So yeah, that was super fun.
Okay, so next question is dance. Is dance possible on a vertical given the narrowness of the screen?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we've seen cheer and that can be like really similar. I think it all just has to do with like getting creative with the camera. And I know that DPs want to do more with the camera, so I think that'll give them the opportunity to like explore different techniques. I think it could look really cool. So I'm really excited for this dance vertical that's going to be coming out from my friend Kylie, which I'm sure that's where we're getting to. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. And
Yes,
I
so
think it's more than
let's do a
possible.
little shout out for Kylie and Kylie's project.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
think you know enough, you can probably do a better intro than me. But let's talk about it here.
Well, if you're not following Chera TV, get on it because they're going to blow up. This is a female
The link.
founded, yeah, female founded vertical platform, you know, founded by Kylie Carson, who, and Candace Miezga is a part of it as well. Who have been in the vertical space and they want to make women led stories and explore different genres in the vertical world and bring cinematic stories to the vertical screen. So they're going to do it. It's going to be huge. I'm so excited for them. And yeah, their first vertical is going to be a dance vertical, which people have been saying for so long, can we please get a dance vertical? You know, so I'm super excited. Like Center Stage was like my favorite movie as a kid, like obsessed.
Center
So,
Stage is one of the best movies ever.
right? Yes.
Ever. I'm
Yes.
sorry, but ever. Okay.
So
Every
good.
single character in that lives a lifetime.
I
Like
know.
Zoe Saldana's character and then Susan May Pratt's character and then like the central and oh sorry. Right. We could go
No,
off
like
on one here.
I think about that movie all the time and like the Michael Jackson song at the end, the way you make me feel, like that literally is like, yes, that whole thing is just me as a person. Like I love it. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid, especially because I was in dance too. So I'm like, this is cinema.
Yeah, right. If okay. We shall link go and watch Center Stage.
Please.
So good. It's so good. You will thank us both. Yes, and also Show TV as well, which is awesome because they have really I'm really impressed. You know, and even the marketing is cool. You're like, people are approaching this with a fresh
Mhm.
method and they get it, and that's really, really exciting. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what Kylie does. You know, she was a social media manager, and she was in digital marketing. So it's like she knows how to market something. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. And like when I had to join SAG, I literally texted her. I was like, Kylie, I just had to join SAG. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm still kind of like, can I be involved in any way? You know, because it's just gonna be it's different and it's never been done before, and I think it's going to put the pressure on these bigger apps to make some changes and to like catch up. So yeah.
well, we can be the hype merchants. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
be
I'm gonna either way I'm there, I'm reposting. Yeah, I'm gonna get everybody to watch it.
one of the things I wanted to raise with you as well is because I know that one or two people said to me that slight nervousness about dance is like, oh, they've got a lot to learn. But my understanding is dancers pick up choreography
Yeah.
incredibly fast. Is
Mhm.
there a similarity? This is me trying to make a really tenuous link, so you can tell me if this works.
Okay.
With picking up choreography to picking up lines.
Well, that's interesting. I think that it might. I think you're onto something because it has to access a certain part of your brain, that I think could be very similar. You know, in a way, like when I was in school, the way that I memorized textbooks or like schooling was almost like reciting lines. Like, even if I didn't necessarily like understand what I was learning, I could recite it. So like for the test, I'd get it or whatever. So I think that that's interesting, like being a visual learner. Because for me, I look at the lines in order to remember them. And same with dance. I'm watching the choreographer do the moves and then I repeat it. So I think it's this. I think it's the same part of your brain, which is why a lot of dancers are able to like switch over to acting pretty easily. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I do like that link actually.
I wasn't sure if like I had a theory or if it was just a mad Jen idea that you would be like, no, Jen,
No,
this
I think
isn't the
you're onto
thing.
something. I really do because people always ask me like how do you like get into that? How do you memorize? I'm like, I don't know. I've been memorizing things my entire life, you know, when I was in dance, when I was in school, when I was in musical theater, like I always had to remember something and repeat it, whether it was verbally or with my body, you know? So, yeah. And I think for me, like whenever I'm trying to memorize lines, it helps when I'm physical at the same time. So like I like to go to the gym and work out and then in between sets look at my lines if I need to memorize something. And it's like while I'm doing the exercise, it helps me recall and remember the lines. So maybe it's because I grew up dancing, like the physicality of it all helps. But yeah, I think that that kind of gets your brain moving in a certain way, which is interesting.
So I'm assuming you can't tell us any more about the TV show because I imagine you signed a lot of NDAs and they were very, very long and very, very terrifying. So I think, should we just say people should follow you on social media for updates? Is that the right thing to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, I mean, it's already been posted as far as like what network it'll be on. So it's a Paramount show. It's a spinoff of a very beloved, popular show. So that's what I can say. But yeah, I'll definitely. It's coming out spring, like mid-season spring. So I'll definitely post as soon as I can.
So what I want to ask you now is obviously while you're, doing the auditions and everything for the SAG work,
Yeah.
what do you watch then in your time downtime?
Mm.
So what's
You know,
your go-to?
well, I'm a big reality TV person. Like I love reality TV. All the Real Housewives, um, Vanderpump Rules, The Valley, like anything messy reality is like my escape because I'm constantly watching TV and film like in a studying way. So like if I ever have an audition for something, I watch the show because I want to get the tone or whatever. So like in a way, reality TV is a way for me to escape work. And then I do have a full-time job. My full-time job is digital marketing. And so we work with TV studios, with movie studios. So like literally my job is to also watch TV and clip for YouTube. Um, so I watch so many shows, but not necessarily for pleasure anymore. But yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Hmm.
that makes so much sense because yeah, I can say as soon as you watch anything, like whatever zeitgeist or whatever it is, then yeah, you're slipping into work mode, aren't you? Because you're either thinking about like a clip there or that would be a really
Yeah.
good bit for performance.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I have like a note on my phone of like if I want to do a mock audition or a mock scene, I'm like at 24 minutes and 15 seconds this show like I can't even enjoy anything. And my wife is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm writing notes."
okay. So this is the key question. Is your wife happy watching reality show as well?
She wasn't at first, like, she was kind of, like, sticking her nose up to it, but, like, she couldn't look away, and now she's obsessed, like, especially with Real Housewives. Like, she's like, "Is there a new episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills tonight?" And I'm like, "No, that's on this day."
The most satisfying thing when they end up more into it than you. It's just like,
Yeah, yeah, and we got into Love Island too for the first time this past year as well,
yes,
so
Britain's gift to the world. Here you go.
here you go. But,
We
like,
brought that.
it's so good. Like, I've said before, I'm like, "This has got to be, like, a form of, like, torture that we're just, like, watching." Like, it's crazy. But, yeah, I can't. I'm addicted. I can't help it.
And just, yeah, a similar question. I'm just going to ask basically because I'm nosing now. So, what about music? Because I'm now like wondering, is there a similar thing with music? In that, are you then singing or are you dancing? What actually music can you listen to that's relaxing?
Oh, yeah. I love music. I'm a big musical theater person, so, like, my version of relaxing is singing musical theater songs. If I need to like, if I have like a meltdown, like it helps me come back to earth. Like, let me just like sing this song real quick. Because singing is like always been a love of mine. And it reminds me of, why I'm doing this, because it's just like in me. I can't help it. Like I can't help but sing. But I love all genres of music. Like my wife got me into EDM, so I'm now an EDM person, which I never thought I'd be. But like I love going to music festivals and, you know, dancing to house music. um but I can find an appreciation for all of it. I think it just depends on my mood and like where I'm at. So it's like if I'm on vacation, like at the beach, I want to listen to like country and like reggae. And then if I'm at a festival, I'm listening to EDM, or if I'm at the gym, I'm listening to hip hop. Like I love it all. But musical theater, like okay, so Hamilton is, the best musical ever, obviously. Like we all know this, but um that musical, like I can listen to the album over and over and over again and never get tired of it. If I'm like driving somewhere and I'm about to fall asleep, I make myself sing to the Hamilton soundtrack. So it keeps me awake.
Okay, I have to ask, have you seen Six?
I haven't. No.
I
I
would
know.
debate. I personally prefer Six.
Over Hamilton. Well, that's probably, you're probably right in a way, because they're different
They're
but
both
similar.
brilliant. I'm not saying Hamilton's bad. Hamilton's
No,
brilliant.
no,
I
no, I
think
know,
Six
but
edges
it's
it.
female led, and it's like, those songs are rock and easily, to sing along to, which actually I'm going to New York in November and we want to see some shows. So maybe I'll go to Six. Yeah.
I also have that thing of just like, ridiculous, precocious talent of like, yeah, we were at uni and we just wrote this and now it's like a massive global hit. I love the origin story as well. So,
Yeah, that's insane to me. Like that people just have that in them.
yeah.
Like I could never.
Just like, what? What do you mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
like
couldn't find my glasses at that age, let alone write a massive hit
no,
musical.
exactly. And like I've written things, like I've written short films and scenes and, a feature, but like writing a musical is not something that makes sense in my brain. Like I don't think I could do that. Like that's a whole nother level of talent that is just like genius. I have so much respect for people that write musicals. And the patience too. Maybe I don't have the patience for it. Cause like some of these musicals take like 10 years to write. And I'm like, no, that could not be
Yeah,
me.
wow. Yeah, that's devotion and a lot of love and passion, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my final question for you, because you've been amazing and shared loads with me, is almost looking back. So to people who are obviously, so many people are now looking at verticals as an option for getting their foot in the door in the industry. What advice would you give them? Kind of what would your words of wisdom, words of caution be to people who are hoping to follow in your footsteps?
I mean, I think, the biggest one is to not give up. Because I auditioned for like 50 verticals before I got one. And a lot of people have this idea that they're easy and that they can just walk into them, and that's not the case at all. These people that are in them are very talented, very hardworking, very determined. So just don't give up, because there is a space for you if you are willing to do the work and, lean into the genre of it. The audition that I finally did book is the one that I finally was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the most and be so insanely dramatic and really go for it. And I did. And then I finally got a part. And so I was like, oh, like that's what it took this whole time. So don't be afraid to lean into the genre and really, have fun with it, because if you're not having fun, then the audience can tell. And that's when it becomes not enjoyable to watch. Um, and as far as being cautious, these are very fast moving. They are non-union. They are put on by non-American companies that are looking at the bottom line. So take care of you. Know when to draw the line when something is that you're not comfortable with. I had to learn how to say no to certain stunts, or how to ask for clarification on something, or put my foot down and say no, like I am taking my lunch, my full 30 minutes, because when you're young in the industry, you don't have a lot of experience. Fortunately, is the people are going to take advantage of you. And so just learning how to stand up for yourself when you need it, because the people that I've witnessed and worked with like taught me so much that were already doing verticals before I did, and I was just in awe of them. Like, you can say no, like, wow. And that's what I remember the most. Just yeah, being true to yourself and your morals, not being afraid to say no to opportunities if it doesn't align with you. So yeah.
You're absolutely amazing. I can't thank you enough for talking to me for all this time. Just you're a
Thank
superstar.
you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I know, I'm so glad that we finally got to speak. I'm a fan of you. I think like you're just everything that you post is like so well thought out, and I can tell that you put so much love and care into it, and you care about the creatives in every part of the world, and we need more people like you, advocating and getting the word out there. So I appreciate you as well.